Well, good evening, everyone. It's lovely to have you here for our session this evening. And I'd like to introduce Ganesh Kumar from HPB Lodge in Auckland. Ganesh was born and studied in India. He has a bachelor's degree in mathematics, an engineering degree in instrumental technology, and a master's degree in mechanical engineering. He first joined the Theosophical Society in Zambia in 1980 and transferred to HPB Lodge in Auckland in 1995. And he continues to take part in HPB Lodge in some national section activities. Ganesh worked as an aircraft control systems under the Ministry of Defence in India for 3 years. He also worked as a lecturer in the Indian Institute of Technology in Chennai, which is where our national headquarters is based, for 10 years, and spent 14 months in West German industries and universities. He worked as the head of the Department of Medical Instrumentation and Refrigeration Training in Zambia and in consolidated copper mines for 14 years, and worked in various capacities as a project coordinator, project manager, and estimator for electrics in Auckland for 13 years before retirement in 2011. Ganesh's talk this evening is The Eternal or Ultimate Reality According to Vedanta. So Ganesh, lovely to have you here, and over to you.
Now.
Dear sisters and brothers, greetings and namaskaram. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you all for being here tonight. I also wish to thank the president and the committee members of the Wellington Lodge for giving their approval and the opportunity for me to give this talk. And I think Simon, he gave a very long introduction about me. I think I have forgotten about it. You can all just ignore what all he said. Okay. And before I proceed further, I have a couple of things to share with you. As I might have already mentioned it, I have a strong accent. And if you do not understand my talk, or if my talk becomes some kind of a gibberish, you are free to stop me. I will try my best to be more comprehensible and slow. And if necessary, I will start repeating my statements. But I hope we will have some time at the end to discuss or clarify any of the points that you might have missed. Another point that I like to make, I would like you to to make a note of. What I'm sharing with you is my reflection, interpretation, and understanding, and the conviction of the information that I have studied in books, or the talks and lectures that I listened to. I would like you to be part of tonight's discussion with an open mind, irrespective of your previous views and convictions, and request you to kindly seek out the truth for yourself so that the final conclusion is your own and not that of anyone else. Of course, including my own views, which I suggest that you take with a pinch of salt, or a bit more than that, neither rejecting nor accepting instinctively any of the statements that is being made. I don't claim any authority, because what I'm going to present with you, share with you, is what I have studied and what I have understood. Okay, then. And the last point, if you haven't got a question during the talk, don't hesitate to stop me, because what happens is during a lecture, some questions come up in your mind. And if you are waiting, oh, I will ask the question at the end of the talk, what happens is that question disappears. And when the talk ends, we have already forgotten what the question was. So don't hesitate to stop me and the question, okay? Because I can always pick it up from the PowerPoint where we left. I won't miss the continuity of the talk. Okay. Okay. Um, in the poem to the Sacred Doctrine, HVB has written, an omnipresent, eternal, boundless, and immutable principle on which all speculation is impossible, since it transcends the power of human conception and could only be dogged by any human expression or similitude. It is beyond the range and reach of thought. And she quotes something from the Upanishad. She says, in the words of the Mandukya Upanishad, unthinkable and unspeakable. HVB quotes the above in the Sacred Doctrine that the omnipresent, eternal, boundless, and immutable principle is unthinkable and unspeakable according to the Upanishad statement. The question is it possible to think about this eternal or ultimate principle? Or is it possible to speak about this eternal or the ultimate principle? Would there be any benefit or rewards by pondering over this topic, the unspeakable and unthinkable? Or is our discussion going to be just a mere intellectual exercise and a waste of time? Or it could be whether it could be some food for thought. Before we go into the statement of HPV, it may be worthwhile to describe what the Upanishads are. Okay, what are the Upanishads? Most of you may be quite familiar with the term Upanishad. The Upanishads are the final parts of a very ancient and continuously practiced religious scriptures of the Hindu tradition called the Vedas. And these are the foundations of the philosophy called Vedanta. Ved, I think meaning, giving the meaning, the end of the Vedas. Okay. See, another interpretation is also given for the Upanishads. One of the meaning that is given is actually in the olden days, most of the information, this kind of the spiritual information, was transmitted by word of mouth from the teacher to the disciple. So the teacher sits on a pedestal or something, a kind of a platform, and the disciple or the student sits close, and the teacher whispers into the ears of the disciple these mantras or whatever it is, these teachings, secret teachings. So these are, I think it was not loudly spoken. The teacher gives it orally into the ear of the disciple. So it is kind of a secret one. So that way we can consider that as a secret doctrine as well, the Upanishads. Okay. The Upanishads are in the form of dialogue between the teacher and the student about life, about our purpose in life, and also about the ultimate reality. See, the ultimate reality when you're talking about, I think in the theosophical literature, we talk it as the absolute, okay? Sometimes they call it as the eternal reality. And in the Indian parlance, they call it as the Brahman, okay? So I take it the ultimate reality to be the same thing as the Brahman in the Indian literature, okay? The Upanishads, the teachings were originally word of mouth, and they were in the cryptic short form called sutras, which were memorized by students. Okay. Upanishads have been a source of inspiration, okay, for the spiritual speakers globally as a universal philosophy. And it had been found that they were first translated in the Persian language in the 17th century, and from Persian into other languages such as Latin, French, German, and finally into English. Similarities can be found between the sayings of the Upanishads and those of the Greek philosophers such as Pythagoras, okay, Plato, and Socrates. The Upanishad portray that the cosmic being by whose personal sacrifice, okay, this cosmos comes into being, comes into existence, is within each one of us. The Upanishads portray that the power of manifestation by which this cosmic being becomes this whole manifested universe is also within each one of us. I think this actually most of us theosophical students, we would understand we are nothing but a divine spark, the ultimate reality. Its similar idea is portrayed in the Upanishad as well. So Vedanta can be interpreted as the essence of the Vedas, the essential teachings of the Upanishads, being that what appears on the surface to be a religion of ritual and worship of the natural forces as deities, symbolically contains within itself a much deeper knowledge about the nature of the self, the nature of our relationship to each other, and the world around us, and to the infinite cosmos. See, normally people think the Vedas and Vedanta, etc., they are all nothing but some kind of a religious rituals and chanting of the mantras and nothing more than that. That's what happens. Okay, normally, as I mentioned earlier, these sutras are normally in the form of what we call as something like a very cryptic short forms, so that the disciples could memorize them and then repeat them, okay, not forget it, okay. And then this is the way it has been passed on from generation to generation, okay. So the sutras, when you talk about, they are more like a zip files. Actually, the sutras, they have got many layers of meanings or contain the information which they are elaborated by the spiritual teachers, okay. This is what happens. So the sutras on the first would appear to be nothing but a very simple observation and nothing more than that. Most of us would have read about a story about two birds in a tree. I think most of us would have heard about it. There are two birds, two identical birds sitting in a tree full of fruits. One tree on the upper branch, the other one in the lower branch. And the bird in the lower branch, it keeps on picking up the different fruits. Some of them are sweet, some of them are bitter, some of them are sour, okay? And it is enjoying that one. The bird on the upper branch, it has no response. It doesn't react. It is just sitting there, simply observing the lower bird. And that's all the end of the story. Okay, nothing more than that. And the information, what it means, it has to be given by a commentator or the, what you call as a teacher who knows what it is supposed to mean. So in this case, I think the two birds, I think it's only for the observer, they appear as two birds, but they are nothing but one, it's only one bird, okay, which appear as two birds, one of them enjoying, the other one is watching. Okay, the people could say the bird in the lower one is the lower self, and the bird on the higher branch is the higher self. But these two, the higher self and lower self, they are not two different things. They are just only one. Okay, it is something similar to that one. Okay, Now, I think actually some of you, I think, also might have read the book by Dr. Ravi Ravindra, okay, uh, titled Krishnamurti, Two Birds in a Tree, based on this particular sutra in the what they call as the Mundaka Upanishad. There are nearly about 10 important Upanishads. Okay? The one actually which you are talking about, the Mandukya Upanishad, is one of them, quite a large one. Of course, we have seen the Upanishad portray the idea that the cosmic being, okay, yeah, the Upanishad portray that the cosmic being by whose personal sacrifice this cosmos comes into existence is within each one of us. We have to keep this idea in our mind. The same way, the power, it is not only the beingness, being, and also the power is within each one of us. I think this is what he's talking about. Okay. Now, we are going to the Upanishad. Okay. We were just talking about the question, is it worthwhile to think about the unspeakable? Is it worthwhile to talk about the unthinkable? Okay. But this question, actually, we are thinking about now, the absolute. People had been talking about it, I think, thousands of years back, during the time of the Upanishad or the Vedas. They had been talking about it. Okay. So, one of the sutras in this particular Upanishad, what we call as the Taittiriya Upanishad, which is nearly about many thousands of years old, it says, the knower of Brahman attains the highest. Here, as I mentioned earlier, the Brahman implies the ultimate reality. Of course, in the Indian languages, they call it the absolute, the ultimate reality as the Brahman. Okay. So, this is the knower of Brahman attains the highest. So the three questions come to our mind. Who or what is the Brahman or the ultimate reality? How to know Brahman or the ultimate reality? What is the highest that one who knows the Brahman or one who knows the ultimate reality, what does he get? Okay, now we will go into the sutras. Okay, now I think this sutra, I think as we go, as you will see towards the end, this is a very apt, very absolutely a wonderful definition of the ultimate reality. A best definition of the ultimate reality. Okay, now we have to take, before we go into that one, there are three questions. What is the ultimate reality? How to know the ultimate reality? And what is the highest that one who knows the ultimate reality, what will he get? Okay, so what shall we get? Probably. What do you think we get? Okay. So let us take the third question first, and then we will take the first question, and we will probably leave out the second question for a later discussion. Okay, maybe at the weekend. What is the highest that we can get by knowing the ultimate reality? Can we attain the entire fulfillment of all of the desires by realizing this ultimate reality? Does it mean that we will get all the desires of a bucket list fulfilled? Desires that we wish to fulfill during our lifetime, say visiting hundreds of wonderful places worth visiting before we die, or getting all that we need from the Amazon or other similar shops during the Labor Day or the Boxing Day sale. Is that actually what it means? The one who knows the ultimate reality, he gets the highest, attains the highest. What is that happiness? Okay. So one of the things actually that all of us are looking for is happiness and avoidance of any pain or sorrow. Okay. What is that that gives us the ultimate happiness? Is it the material things? Okay. No. I think actually our happiness, whatever we get, I think once you get, say, for example, you want to get, I want to get the latest iPhone. As soon as I get till I get the iPhone, probably I would have read the specification and know what all it could do, and I will be having quite a lot of expectation. But once I get it and use it for a few days, I think afterwards the next model, iPhone 15 or iPhone 18 comes, I would like to get that one. Whatever I have, it becomes no, I'm not interested in that one. It's something like the small children. Most of the young babies, they play with the toys only for 1 day or 2 days. Afterwards, the interest is lost. Okay. So the any happiness that we get, okay, from any of the physical things, it is only it is time bound. It is not eternal. It is not all the time. You know, the highest pleasure that we human beings we get, I think normally talk about the sexual pleasures. Okay. So it is always said this kind of sexual pleasures is one of the highest because in this sexual pleasures, all our five senses, okay, physical senses, as well as the mind is involved in a what you call as a in a kind of a divine sexual union. Okay, that is why I think people think this is one of the highest pleasures on the physical level. But the people who have realized the ultimate reality, they say the happiness that you get by realizing the ultimate reality is to the power of 20 of any of the highest pleasures that we could think of in the physical world. Okay, so that is one thing, to the power of 20, not 20 times, to the power of 20. Because when you try to know the physical, I mean, ultimate reality, it is not only our physical being, even all the our vehicles, our capacity in all the other planes of existence also are involved. That's what we are talking about. Okay, now if we take the question, we'll have to talk about Brahman implies the knower of Brahman attains the highest. The next one, what is Brahman? I think the next sutra gives the definition. Brahman is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. I think it means, it being translated, the ultimate reality is being, consciousness, and infinity. So let us say that the ultimate reality is being, consciousness, infinity, or we can just say the ultimate reality is the infinite being, and it is also infinite consciousness. So Anantam actually it means without any end or limit, that is infinite. We can think of three kinds of limits. One is the space, the another one is infinite time, and the infinite object. Let us take each one of them one by one. Infinite space. What does it mean, infinite space? I am here in Auckland, but I am not in Wellington or Hamilton or Christchurch or Dunedin. That means there is a limitation of existence. For me, I can only be here. The same thing applies to every object. If a particular object is here, Okay, it is not anywhere else. Okay, this is what we call about uh, the space limitation. But the ultimate reality, when we're talking about, is not limited by the space. That means there is not any place that the ultimate reality is not present. Or in other words, ultimate reality is everywhere. That is, the ultimate reality is an all-pervading, omnipresent. The ultimate reality is everywhere, in heaven, in hell, on earth, and therefore the ultimate reality must be here as well, and within each one of us, and within everything that exists. Okay. Next, we take up the question of the infinite time. That is the limitation, no limitation in time. Every entity has a beginning and an end in time. It is born, lives, and dies, or is created. Okay. It it serves a purpose, and it is destroyed. Every event, every entity, every being has a beginning and an end. Okay. If I just talk about actually a piece of wood, yes, probably it had a beginning. It has got an existence now, but it will also have a end sometime. Okay. The same thing applies to me. I was born, I live, and then I will have the end of time. It's not something actually I exist without any limitation of time. Okay. What about something that doesn't have a limitation of time? If we could think of something which does not have a limitation of time, that means there was not a time that it did not exist. There is no time that it is not existing, and there won't be a time that it will not be existing. That the past, present, and future, it doesn't make any difference. It is eternal, omnipresent. So ultimate reality existed in the past, it exists now, and it will exist forever. Okay, I think this is all just some mental ideas. Probably towards the end, we will make up whether such a thing can exist or not. That is the question. We will take it up at the end. The infinite object. What does it mean, infinite object? See, every object is different from another object. Okay. See, if this is actually a pen here, this pen is different from all the other pens. Sorry. If an object has got an object limitation, it is that object only and nothing else. But if an object doesn't have any object limitation, then there is nothing in the universe which is different from it. There is nothing in the universe which is apart from that. Because assuming that there is only one object in the universe, everything is part of that one. Okay. So that is what we're talking about, the limitations of the object. Okay. So this may be a difficult idea to grasp, but I think it will become clearer as we go on. Okay. So we have seen. So what it says is ultimate reality is everywhere. That is to say, the ultimate reality is all pervading, omnipresent, in heaven, in hell, and on earth. Therefore, ultimate reality must be here and in everything as well. We can say there is nothing apart from ultimate reality. It is eternal or omnipresent. Past, present, future, it doesn't make any difference to it. Ultimate reality always existed, exists now, and it will exist forever. There is nothing in the universe which is different from the ultimate reality. I think I have put you are. I think it has got supposed to be see. There is nothing in the universe which is different from what you are. There is nothing in the universe which is apart from what you are. So I think the idea is you are the ultimate reality is you and me. Okay, I and you, we are the ultimate reality. This is the idea that is involved. Okay. Okay. So what we have done is we have just unzipped, okay, one part of it. That is Anantam. What is this? Infinite. Anantam implies without end or limit. That infinite implies all pervading, eternal, and non-real. So we have just done only one part of it, the infinite. Okay. And we said we had three things. The ultimate reality is being, consciousness, and infinite. So the third one about infinite, we have just dealt with that one. We move on to the next one. Having analyzed the infinite aspect of the ultimate reality, we need to look into the other two attributes of the ultimate reality. See, the Sutra said, Brahman is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. That is, the ultimate reality is being, consciousness, infinity. So that is to say, the ultimate reality is infinite being, it is infinite consciousness. So now let us decipher the other two definitions. The ultimate reality is being, the ultimate reality is consciousness. I think when you talk about being and consciousness, we have to say infinite being or infinite consciousness. Okay, we'll take it up the next one. Satyam means being or existence. Infinite existence means the quality of being, beingness, or isness. I think Yashvi talks about the quality of the beingness in the sacred doctrine. Okay. What is that actually? We are talking about the truth. Okay. 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 The other one is, oh, sorry. We have to deal with this one first. Being or existence. Satyam means existence or being, reality, truth. What is real? All that exists in this world or in one way is real as sensed by our sense organs and interpreted by our mind and intelligence. Sense objects, space, taste, touch, smell, hearing, they are all real. Are they ultimate reality? Okay, I can touch the pen. Okay, okay, I know. Okay, there is something actually I'm able to do it. Is this the ultimate reality? No, not quite. Because these objects or beings are not eternal or all pervading. In the sense that over time we do change and they are not all pervading. It exists, but doesn't fulfill the condition of all pervading or eternal or non-dual. The implied question is, what is that which is present in all that we consider as real and yet is not limited by space, time, and object? Okay. Say, for example, when I take this pen, this is actually a pen, but previously it was some polyethylene or whatever it is. Okay. It was not, it was some other chemical or something like that. Over the period, once actually the refill is completed, I'll put it in the bin and it will be recycled. It will be broken into things and all. It is not going to exist in this particular form forever. Okay. The same thing applies to any living beings as well, whether it is an insentient object or a living being. They are not eternal. They are objects. Excuse me. They exist for some time. Okay. There is a beginning and a period of existence, and there is an end. What is that? That will exist, okay, which is all the time is existing. Sorry, it is existing everywhere, and it is not different from anything else. So the only thing actually, the implied question is, what is present in all that we are talking about? It is the quality of the existence. Okay. So the table is, the chair is, the computer is, we can say the quality of isness, of beingness. If we consider the gold ornaments of different varieties and names, such as bangles, rings, chains, tiara, etc., etc., one thing that is running in and through everything on these gold ornaments is that particular aspect of gold. Gold is in every one of the ornaments. The shape may be different, okay, it may exist, but one of the quality is the isness, the gold that is there in everything. Okay, that is actually what we are talking about, the existence. Okay, when you are talking about the ocean, the waves, the surf, bubbles, foam, they are all nothing but one reality, water. So water is the one quality that exists. The waves are only a temporal one. The surf or bubbles or foam, whatever it is, they have got a temporary existence and they disappear. But water is always there. In a similar way, one thing that is running through everything that exists in the ocean of existence is called as being, existence. And it is the one which is called as Sat in the Sanskrit language. Sat is existence, or actually what we call as the being, or the beingness, or the isness. Okay, this is what HPV talks about. Okay. Yep, I think this may be a bit difficult. This is an idea. Existence is only a concept. We can say, yes, it is a concept. Okay. Probably we will see this concept at a later time, that it is the quality of the absolute, quality of the ultimate reality. Existence is abstract. Yes, ornaments are real, but gold is abstract. The waves are real and the ocean water is abstract. The right interpretation that we should make is that the ocean water is the real existence and the wave is a dependent existence. In a similar way, all that exists depends upon being or existence, or what is called in the Sanskrit as Sat. Okay, that is the beingness. Okay, that is the isness. That is the Sat. Okay, there is existence. It's always there. Okay, out of this existence, many things may be coming and going. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Okay, that existence, that isness, that beingness is everywhere. We can't think of something which is different from existence. If you could think of anything different from existence, it will be non-existent, isn't it? So existence is the quality. So we can't think of anything which is outside existence. So that becomes a fallacy. Okay. So existence is there. Okay. We can't think of a gold ornament where gold is not. We have something which is beyond the limits of space, time, and object. And it is at everywhere and is undeniable. And that is the ultimate reality. It is just a theory for us, but it is a reality for an enlightened person. As J. Krishnamurti realized that he was the tree, the woodcutter, the axe, the path, etc. Now we know what the enlightened one experiences. He experiences the ultimate beingness, that is the Christ in everything. Okay, he is part of everything. That's what he says. That is existence itself. So the self-realized person, he realized that he is part of that existence. Okay, not this body or mind or whatever it is. The beingness is everywhere at all times and is everything, and nothing is different from that beingness. If there is something which is beyond space, time, and object limitations and is everywhere all the time, then that is the ultimate reality. See, the ordinary people like us, we say the world is real. And the knowledgeable ones say, oh, no, 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 the world is a Maya, it's unreal, it is an illusion. See, one of the greatest saints, Ramana Maharishi, he once said, only the enlightened people will say that the world is real, because for them, everything is ultimate reality. For everybody, for them, everything is nothing but Brahman. Anything that is limited by space, limited by time, limited by object is appearance. That is Maya. But what is underlying that appearance is that ultimate reality. What is underlying Maya is the ultimate reality. Then we have to move on to the next one. I'm sorry, already I think taken quite a bit of time. The next one is the Jnanam, consciousness. Infinite consciousness means the quality of infinite awareness. Okay. We can extend our examination in a similar way, like what we did for existence. We may find that the ultimate reality is infinite consciousness. What is that we consider as consciousness? Feelings, emotion, thoughts, ideas, doubts, memory, all these are conscious events, perceptions. But all these events are not infinite conscious events. They are all limited by time, space, and are not one and the same for all of us. Hence, they are not ultimate reality. Every conscious experience is limited in time, limited in space, and is different from each other and is not infinite. But underlying all our conscious experience in life, there is what we call as awareness, which we cannot grasp because it is not an object. There is no experience apart from that awareness or consciousness. And it has no limitation of space, time, and it's the same in every one of us and everything, and that is the ultimate reality. Ultimate reality is that infinite consciousness. When you talk about awareness, there is nothing like my awareness, your awareness, somebody else's awareness. Okay? There is awareness which we are using. It is something like the electricity, actually, which all of us are using in our homes. Okay? Okay, each one of us are using it, okay, to do different things. But I can't say, oh, that is my electricity. But electricity is one from the power company. It is the same thing, which each one of us are using it. We can't claim that is my electricity only, which is not yours. In a similar way, when you are talking about the awareness or consciousness, it is there. What we are doing is we are using it. It is something like life. Okay, we are using that life. There is one life which is shared by everything in this manifested world. Okay, and we are using part of it. Okay, during our existence. Okay, it is the ultimate reality. Who or which is in the sacred space is actually okay. He who knows what the ultimate reality is, the ultimate reality lodged in the sacred cavity of the heart is enjoys all desirable things. This is what the sutra says. Okay, anyone who knows that ultimate reality is within each one of us, within our heart, okay, in the secret on the sacred cavity of our heart, he is able to enjoy all the desirable things. He reaches the ultimate happiness. In other words, we can say, okay, the second question, how to know Brahman or ultimate reality, forms another topic of discussion. We invite you all to the Hamilton Lodge celebrating the Golden Jubilee of the Lodge building on Sunday, 25th September, when we will discuss one of the methods to know the Brahman or the ultimate reality. How to know? That was the second question. Okay. So what it says is the ultimate reality is nothing but they saying, I am that. Okay. I think it's one of the words actually, they call it as in Indian parlance, Mahavatya, or greatest sayings. Okay. I am that. We are that. Okay. We, each one of us, are that ultimate reality. Thank you for your patient listening.